What if fear isn't the villain, but the proof that you are on the right track? Hello and welcome back to Start Yes. I'm Delia, and in today's episode, I'm diving into something that every entrepreneur, creator, and doer deals with: fear. You know that feeling right before you hit launch, or send the pitch email, or tell people your idea out loud for the very first time? That rush of, what if I fail? Yeah, that's exactly what we're digging into today. Because fear isn't just part of the journey, it's actually your undercover co-founder. I was rereading Big Magic: Creative Living Beyond Fear by Elizabeth Gilbert recently. And it's technically about creativity, but it might as well be about entrepreneurship. She says that when you live a creative life, fear is always going to show up. Why is that? Because creativity and, I'd argue, entrepreneurship both live in uncertainty. You're actually doing something that you haven't done before in that same way. So there are no guarantees. Now, Gilbert writes, and I quote, "Fear will always be triggered by your creativity because it asks you to enter into realms of uncertain outcome." And that hit me because every founder, every doer is living right there in that uncertain outcome. And it reminded me a lot about what happens in customer success as well. Fear is present there, just in a different form. The fear of churn, of losing a client, of not delivering enough value. Now, but if you think about it, that fear can be productive. In customer success, for example, it pushes you to listen more deeply, to anticipate needs, to build stronger relationships. In business, just like in life, fear can either freeze you or drive you. The choice is yours. Now, I remember when I started my own solopreneurship journey 1 year ago. I done the research, built the thing, had the plan, but right before launch, I froze. What if I'm not ready? What if it's not the right moment? What if it's risky? What if? And it was not just because I thought I'd fail. Weirdly enough, I was somehow scared it might actually work. And that's when I came across Gilbert's metaphor. She says, fear is like a passenger in your car. You cannot throw it out. It's coming with you. But you get to decide where it sits. So she tells fear, and I quote, "You can have a seat, but you don't get to drive. You don't get to touch the radio, and you definitely don't get to make decisions." And that stuck with me because I realized that fear's job is to keep me safe, but my job is to keep moving because I'm the driver and I commit to continue being the driver. Now, here's how I've learned to work with fear instead of against it. Every time I try something new, I expect it and I welcome it. Because fear in this case means that I'm doing something that matters. And if I'm not scared, I'm probably staying too comfortable. After it comes, I name it loud and clear. This is called labeling emotions. Because when I admit what I'm afraid of, it loses power over me. It goes from this big fog to something that I can actually face. The third step I take is to take small steps. Just one, or micro actions. I don't have to leap off a cliff, I just have to take one small scary step. As I also said in the previous episode, 1 is bigger than 0, and I guess it applies here too. And the fourth thing I do is to reframe fear as fuel. because the energy that makes you nervous before an important meeting or a pitch, that's exactly the energy that can drive you forward. All you have to do is to channel it properly. Now, what if fear isn't the villain, but the proof that you are on the right track? Gilbert says creative living isn't about being fearless, it's about being brave enough to keep creating with fear sitting beside you. And that's true whether you're launching a business or leading a customer success team through tough feedback. Fear just means you care about the result, about the relationship, about making it work. So next time fear pops up before a pitch or client renewal or a big launch, just smile at it and remember that it's not the enemy. It's just your undercover co-founder doing its job, keeping you aware, sharp, and human. So you don't have to fire it, you just have to remind it who's driving. So here's my takeaway. Fear will always ride with you, but so will possibility. So you get to decide which one you listen to. And here are two of my favorite quotes from Gilbert's book. The first one is, I quote, "Do whatever brings you to life. Follow your own fascinations, obsessions, and compulsions. Trust them. Create whatever causes a revolution in your heart." And the second one, "Creativity is a path for the brave, yes, but it is not a path for the fearless. It's an adventure, and fear will always accompany you on that adventure." Thank you for listening to this new episode of Start CS. If it hit home for you, share it with someone who is doing something brave. And remember, you cannot have big magic without a little fear. Keep going.